Hey, welcome back. As we continue to track the winter weather, we are joined by our friend and partner from the Weather Channel, Molly McCollum. Molly, welcome to Arkansas. We are so happy you're here. The only reason you would even possibly think about coming to our area is if something big is a brew. And I want to gauge your thoughts. What are you seeing from your perspective when you look at some of the changes over the last 8 to 12 hours?
I think that we could get in a potential anywhere from, say, Oklahoma into northwestern Arkansas, where we are. Somebody is going to get some big snow.
Yep.
Now, whether that is 12 inches of snow, or say you get those isolated pockets that you get maybe 18 to 20 inches of snow, I think that's all in play. But as always with winter weather, when you kind of get down to it and the actual event, okay, where are those heavy bands setting up? Where are we getting the drier air? All of that is now casting. But you're right. I'm here because we are expecting some really big snow.
What are some of the things that you're watching for as we are now casting? As Noah and I have discussed a lot, everything is coming together for a high-end event. This event had a high ceiling, and now as we're tracking this thing crossing the Red River Valley, it looks like we're going to be really close to that ceiling. So I naturally start thinking, how could this thing possibly bust? Like, what could go wrong in the forecast between now and Sunday to really bring those totals down? And the window for that to happen seemingly is closing. I'm just curious kind of what your thoughts are.
We always have to ask that question as meteorologists, right? How can this forecast go wrong? We're constantly asking ourselves that, especially when you put numbers out there and you've kind of staked your reputation on that. You're thinking, okay, how can this get messed up, especially if you want big snow? But I think there's a couple of things. We've got some dry air right now. How soon does the precipitation start? What does the precipitation start as? And then, we get this first initial big wave of snow overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. And then we get this lull tomorrow. How far to the north do we see the sleet mix in? Could it be from Okmulgee, Oklahoma, up into Fayetteville, Arkansas? Where does that line set up? Of course, when you start to mix in sleet, that's going to eat away at your snowfall amounts. But then, we get back into that big snowfall wave Saturday night into Sunday. And does that make up for any sleet that we see? Do we get back into those heavier bands? So I think that the things to watch out for, dry air and sleet. But as you mentioned, this has the potential to be a high ceiling event. I mean, certainly with the way the models have been coming together in the last, say, couple of runs, we just keep seeing these amounts consistently, kind of big amounts for northwestern Arkansas. And I cannot wait to see what unfolds. It's always so interesting to watch what the atmosphere has to offer as an event is unfolding.
The amount of data that we have available to us, I've kind of cautioned the team
It's
here.
almost too
Hey,
much sometimes.
yes, and that's exactly right. We have so much available. It is so easy to fall into this trap of paralysis by analysis. You just have so much data, and every once in a while I'll look over and I'll hear Noah here, our winter weather specialist, and he's thinking, he'll just utter under his breath like, wow, oh my. And he just starts making these noises. I'm just curious, as you've tracked it, from when the time you got the assignment, hey, you're going to Fayetteville, to today, is this kind of exceeding your expectations, potentially?
So I'll be honest with you, my original assignment was not Fayetteville. It was actually
Oh,
Little Rock, Arkansas. I started in Little Rock yesterday, and initially when the models came out first honed in on this big snowstorm, we thought it was going to be big snow for Little Rock. But as you know, things started to trend to the north. The models started to lock in on it being north of Little Rock. And kind of to give you to pull behind the curtain of the decisions at the Weather Channel, I had a discussion. I was like, okay, do we want to show sleet or do we want to show snow? Because I'm okay with both, but in the end, we decided that there was such a high ceiling for snow here in Fayetteville that was going to be such a big story, and of course back into Oklahoma too. That whole the whole region seeing some really big snow. That we ultimately decided that Fayetteville would be beautiful, iconic to show in this kind of snow, and that's how we landed here. But no, I didn't initially expect to end up in Fayetteville. That's kind of how these Weather Channel assignments go. You get sent to one city, and as the forecast evolves and changes, as things usually do in the weather, you typically end up moving locations and finding yourself in places that you didn't expect to be.
I appreciate the lifting of the curtain so we can kind of see those decisions. What we talk about a lot that I'm really proud of, that I think sets us apart, is I'm so happy to tell folks, hey, I don't know. Like, here's where I'm uncertain still. Here's where things could go wrong. And you've got to be able to pivot. You've got to be able to make these last minute adjustments. Noah, what questions do you have for Molly? You got time for one.
All right, time for one more. I mean, I got a million, but I got to pin it down to one. Really, I'm kind of just curious on really just the sleet line, especially with that second wave and really kind of how far it punches northwest. I know you've been kind of busy on assignment. Maybe you haven't looked at, a whole lot of data, but I'm kind of just maybe curious on your thoughts about that sleet line, maybe how far north it might shift.
If I were wish casting, because I am someone who loves snow and I want this to be an all snow event, but if I'm wish casting, it doesn't get into Fayetteville. But if we're making a forecast that's based in reality, then I think anywhere from Okmulgee, Oklahoma, up through Fayetteville has a real potential to see a small window of sleet that's going to mix in late Saturday, potentially into Saturday evening. We'll see how long that persists. But we know what that can do to our snowfall amounts. And then also is, the snow that's already fallen on, tonight into Saturday morning, the sleet's going to compact that down a little bit too. And so that could eventually, end up having some bigger impacts on what it looks like here when all is said and done. But my goodness, I mean, we haven't even touched on how cold it's going to get here. The bigger the snowpack gets, the colder we're going to be on Monday. And it's already, the forecast is already pretty insane for some of these low temperatures.
Hey, Molly, we are so thankful for our partnership with the Weather Channel. We are also so thankful that we're inside this warm studio. If you need a place that's warm to go, just holler at us. You got a home here at Channel 5. Appreciate your time.
So nice to join you guys today. I appreciate it.